What's up, y'all? It's your man Alex sitting here chilling in the basement. I want to give you a response video. Actually, I want to give Andrew Balliner a response video. Check the link in the description for the video on his channel. He did a video either yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, about his uh, top 10 overrated horror movies. I wanted to make a response to this because I don't know. I just feel like people should be able to express themselves honestly about certain things, and uh, I don't know. I just when you make a list like this, when you talk about movies that are overrated, certain people get offended, and you shouldn't get offended. Why are you gonna get offended over a movie? Why would you get offended over if you like a movie? Not everybody has to like that movie. So why would you get offended? Especially if it's something that, all you did was you just saw this movie and you liked it. You didn't write it. You didn't come up with the idea. You didn't sit in front of the producers and say, hey, I have this great idea for a movie. You didn't film it. You didn't hold the camera. You didn't create the poster art. You did nothing for this movie. You just saw it and you liked it. There's no reason to be offended. It's okay to disagree. I want to make this video not to offend people, but to get honest conversation out there, I guess. He was honest with his video. He wasn't putting down anybody. He wasn't trying to be insulting to anybody. He didn't degrade anybody. He just was telling his honest opinion about movies that he thought were overrated. It's overrated. Oh, I don't know if I like that word anymore when it comes to certain things because okay, everybody has different tastes. Everybody has different likes, dislikes. Everybody has, there's different flavors for different folks. And when somebody says, say if somebody really likes a movie or a TV show or whatever, and they really like it and they praise it and say like, "Wow, this is really awesome," and this is just beautiful and magnificent, and I really, really enjoyed it. That's how they feel. But somebody comes along and says, "Oh, that's just overrated." I don't think it's necessarily that it's overrated. It's just that you just didn't like that. You just didn't like it. It just wasn't for you. But I guess at the same time, there are things, like movies or whatever, where people, like a bunch of people, jump on this bandwagon and hype something up and say all these wonderful things about something. Sometimes you gotta wonder if do they really think that about that movie or whatever, or are they just following a crowd and were they manipulated into believing what it is they're saying about this thing that they like so much. But the purpose of this video is not to offend anybody or to down anybody or anything like that. It's just to be honest about movies that I think are overrated, even though I said I'm really not liking that word anymore, but you know, that's the name of the video. Movies, it's just to be honest about some movies and I guess start conversation or maybe get responses. But let's get into these movies, I guess. Okay, so I got 10 horror movies here. They're not going to be in any particular order, except for maybe the last one I talk about. Right out the gate, I want to start with a movie that might it might make people get upset and want to slap me, but uh, Evil Dead 2. The Evil Dead 2, don't get me wrong, I like Evil Dead 2, but that seems to be the one that everybody loves in that trilogy. That's the one that everybody talks about. That's everybody's favorite. But I think the original in my opinion, is far better than the second one. I just I like how the first one was. It was serious. It was a serious horror movie, and the second one is just. I don't know. I just think it's a little goofy. I like it, but comparing it to the original, I even like Army of Darkness better than Evil Dead 2. And everybody talks about Evil Dead 2 and the goofiness that goes on in Evil Dead 2, how it's like a comedy. And people talk about that so much that they forget that the original movie was serious. I mean, you could look on what was it? Is it? I think it's on Netflix. It's either on Netflix or IMDb or somewhere. If you look up, if you look up that original Evil Dead movie and you look at the movies that it categorizes, the different categories of movies that it fits in, they have it as comedy. Comedy is one of the categories, and it's like, no, the original one was not a comedy. But I think people talk about the Evil Dead 2 so much and how goofy it was that people just you know that that the comedy part of it is thrown into the original movie. Like they just assume that that one is a comedy, or they forget about that movie was serious. But anyway, Evil Dead 2 is one of those movies that I think is overrated, but I like it though. Suspiria. I seen Suspiria one time, and that was quite a while ago, and I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of boring, and it gave me that same feeling as uh, when you and your wife got to take your kids to family practice clinic so they can get their checkups, and you go in there. They want you to be there at a certain time. They want you to be there at 8. You go there at 8 and you check in. But then you got to sit in the lobby for like 15, 20 minutes. And then they finally call you. And they call you and you go back to a room and you sit in the room for another 15 minutes. And then the person comes in and they ask you these questions. And okay, the doctor will be right in shortly. They go out and you got to sit for another 20 minutes. And it's like, come on. And then and then the doctor finally comes in and asks you all the same questions that this other person asked you, and then they leave the room because they got something else to do, and you sit for another 20 minutes. That's what Suspiria felt like to me, and I just think that a lot of horror fans love that movie, but it's just that movie just wasn't for me. Phantasm. Um, Phantasm is a movie that I just never really been able to get into. I really like the second Phantasm though. Shoot, I got that on VHS back there, VHS and DVD. I really like the second one, but I've never been able to get into uh, Phantasm. I haven't even really been able to get into that whole series. Even though I do like those spheres that fly around and stick to people's heads, I thought them things are pretty cool. But other than that, I just really haven't been able to get into that series. I like part two, Cabin Fever. I've heard a lot of people talk great things about Cabin Fever, and I just did not like that movie. I liked it better the second time I watched it, but I seen Cabin Fever in the theater, and I'm serious. I wanted to walk out. I just could not get into it. I wasn't entertained. I thought it was. I don't know what it was. I just could not get into the movie, and I went out seriously. I almost walked out of that movie, and I thought the best part was at the end. When the people show up and like, "Hey, what's up, my nigga?" and whatever. Cabin Fever was, I don't know. The Devil's Rejects. I think Devil's Rejects is overrated. Uh, a lot of people love it. I thought House of a Thousand Corpses was better, and I'm still iffy about that movie. I don't know whether I like that movie or not. When I seen that at the theater, I'm like, what? When I walked out, I'm like, what in the world did I just see? So I figured since I watched House of a Thousand Corpses in the theater, I'll go see Devil's Rejects in the theater, and I just was like, oh gosh, when is this movie gonna end? I just could not get into it. I thought it was boring. I didn't like any of the characters at all. I did like the part when the sheriff or deputy or whatever he was, when he got a hold of all three of them and tied them down and was torturing them. I did enjoy that part because them three characters were terrible people, and I just didn't like them. But Devil's Rejects, I just didn't like, and I think it's overrated. Last House on the Left, the original. Uh, Now, for years I had heard about Last House on the Left. Never knew what it was about, but from the title of the movie, just listen to the title. Last House on the Left. To me that sounds like a haunted house movie or something like that. It just has the name of it. It just sounds like some type of haunted house movie or something like that. Last House on the Left. And I rented it one day. I was just real curious about it. And I heard a lot of praise about the movie. It's a Wes Craven movie, one of his early movies. And when I watched it, I'm like, what is this crap? I'm sorry if you like the movie. I don't mean to call it crap. But that's just how I felt about it, and I thought it was. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I just think it should have been called something else, like um, uh, bad weed deal gone wrong. The original Friday the 13th. I love the Friday the 13th series, but that's probably one of my least favorite ones next to Jason Goes to Hell. Maybe because when I started watching the Friday the 13th series, it was all about Jason to me. I was used to seeing this dude with this hockey mask going around doing his thing, and that was what those movies were about to me. The original Friday the 13th movie, I really don't care for that one. It's okay, but it's definitely a movie that I cannot watch over and over and over. I just maybe once every 2 years or so. But Friday the 13th. When you bring up slashers, Friday the 13th is always up there, the original one. But I think all the other movies outside of Jason Goes to Hell in that series is better than the original Friday the 13th. I think Cabin in the Woods is a little overrated. First time I seen it, I didn't know what to think about it. Second time I seen it, it was okay. I think Cabin in the Woods is an entertaining movie, and I think it was worth buying. I got it for $5 on Blu-ray, used. Um, I think it's an entertaining movie. I like it. Um, I could watch it multiple times. Um, but a lot of people hold that movie up high and say it's like, one of the greatest horror movies in the past 10, 20 years or whatever. And people like it because it's like a satire, and they basically does the same thing that Scream did. When Scream came out, it like parodied. I don't know if parodied is the word. It took all these cliches that horror movies did, and basically put those together and talked about it or made fun of it, or not made fun of it, but used that as part of the movie. That's what Cabin in the Woods did, and everybody really liked it because of that. But I don't think that made the movie spectacular to me. I mean, I like the movie. I think it's entertaining, but I don't think it's the greatest movie ever. I don't think that it's super spectacular. It's just an okay movie to me. 28 days later. 28 days. Actually, when I was coming up with this list, I forgot about this movie. 28 Days Later is a movie that I think is way overrated. I heard so many great things about 28 Days Later, and then I watched it, and I thought it was good for like the first, maybe like the first half hour of the movie, and then something happened, and the movie just. I love the way how when they show the infected people, how they move around all crazy and the camera's shaky and it's got that weird look to it. I thought that was pretty cool. 28 Days Later, I think, is way overrated, and everybody praised that movie, and I just, whatever. Now, this last movie, I can honestly say that I think this is the most overrated movie, horror movie of all time. Shoot, maybe even movie period of all time. And that is Paranormal Activity. I have told this story several times on here, and I'm going to tell it one more time. I remember seeing the previews to Paranormal Activity, and the people in the theater with the night vision was jumping and everything, and hearing people talk about how great this movie was, and I wanted to see it in the theater, but never got a chance to. Uh, so when it first came out on DVD, I rented it. I rented it. I was by myself. My daughter only had one kid at the time. My daughter was asleep. My wife was at work. I was by myself. By myself. And then on the cover of the movie it says, "Don't watch this movie alone." It says that on the poster on the cover of the movie. Don't watch this alone. I was alone. I made me a big bowl of popcorn and I sat on the couch and I put the movie on. And the movie goes and it goes 20 minutes into the movie, 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes into the movie, and I'm sitting there, oh, please, is anything gonna happen? I was bored out of my mind, and I'm thinking, is anything gonna happen in this movie? When is the movie gonna start? I mean, when is all I'm seeing is these people brushing their teeth and talking in the bathroom mirror to each other, and this guy comes over every once in a while, says, "Oh, whatever," and and then the girl getting upset with, "Stop recording me," and blah blah, and the girl every once in a while will get up in the middle of the night and she'll stare at the guy, or the bedroom door will move a little bit. Nothing was happening in this movie at all. Nothing was happening. Paranormal Activity. I mean, if you like the movie, that's fine. I ain't got nothing against you or anything like that. But me, my personal opinion, I think Paranormal Activity is one of the most boring movies that I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm dead serious. Anyway, that's my video, folks. Feel free to make a response. Make a response to his video, my video. It doesn't matter. I gotta go. So, peace out. Can you say an 80s slasher?